You know, whether it be face masks or even Black Lives Matter posters, save it because it will one day be held as artifacts in the museum world. Here's why. Museums and cultural institutions around the country, they're now starting an initiative called Collect the Moment. The idea is to encourage the public to preserve objects as well as capture photos and videos that speak to this prominent time in our history. So joining us now to give us more insight on this project is Director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, Dr. Anthea Hardig. Thanks for being with us, Doctor.
Oh, thank you. Please call me Anthea. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, well, wonderful. Hey, let's talk about this moment in time and why it's so important to document.
Well, most of us have never lived through anything like this. I call it the collision of viral, racial, economic, and political crises that have truly impacted our world in so many powerful ways. And besides about 1918 to 1920, most Americans haven't really ever experienced anything like this.
Yeah, it's really the convergence of many different major movements. Is there a task force
Yeah.
working on gathering all of these materials, and what are you looking for in particular?
Right. We're at the American History Museum of the Smithsonian. We're very fortunate to have one of the nation's most prominent collections of medical history. So our relationships with the CDC and the NIH already helped us understand that this virus was coming, that it had a huge potential to impact the United States dramatically. So we started tracking it about last December. So by the time, of course, it hit full force in the United States, starting in March, we formed a rapid response team to look at documenting and collecting the moment. And we're joined by many, many other museums and historic institutions across the United States. And there in New York, the New York Historical Society, the Museum of the Chinese in America. So many of us are trying
So,
to but work with communities,
yeah,
and
for people
families, yeah.
watching at home and thinking, okay, I'd love to contribute, what are you looking for?
Right.
What do you want from folks?
Well, when you think about what we lose in a moment like this, it's the fragile and the ephemeral. And you might not think that the sign that you sadly put up on your restaurant to say that you were going to be gone for a few weeks in March may tell stories. But each artifact like that helps us understand what people have experienced, everyday people, people in the scientific and medical communities, people in meatpacking processing units, all of their stories combined will form a critical archival layer for historians of the future.
Okay, so folks just need to look around their homes and think of, and where can they submit this, and how do they know if it's something that you actually want?
Well, so many of us are collecting. So if you feel an affinity to your local and or your state, please think about the New York Historical Society. As I mentioned, we would love to know what you're thinking here at the National Museum of American History, and you can just send it to us at info@amhist. In fact, I'll give you that. Hold on just a sec. You can just send it to me, Hartig at si.edu. And
Hey, there you
I would
go.
love to talk to you. Yeah, just send it right to the
Giving us your
boss. Yeah.
personal email address. I
That's
love it.
okay. I'm a public servant, so it's an honor.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
does it pose an issue for your team because we are in a pandemic, receiving these
Right.
items from you don't know who and what they may have had? Are you going through any safety precautions?
Right. Well, right now we're barely collecting at all. We're asking people to hold the material in their homes until it is safe to share it with the museum. We've been in the streets collecting for the remarkable outpouring of advocacy around police brutality and the ongoing efforts of social justice and the Black Lives Matter movement. And for those materials that we collect in that moment, we keep them safe in quarantine of their own inside the
Yes.
museum.
All right, doctor. Thank you so much for your time and all that you're doing. We do
Oh,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.